The radio crackled with static as Sofia Martinez pressed herself against the blood-soaked rocks. Her M40A6 empty and her extraction team 3 hours overdue. Operative down. Mission compromised. The voice reported back to Marine Force Reconnaissance Command. No signs of life at coordinates. Pesumkia, 28 years old. Dark brown hair matted with dust and blood. She listened to her own death being reported while enemy forces celebrated what they thought was the elimination of the American sniper who had been causing them problems for weeks. What they did not know, what her own command did not know, was that Sofia Martinez had survived worse than a mountainside ambush and a 40-foot fall into a Syrian ravine. They thought leaving her for dead would end the mission. Instead, it had just eliminated the only thing holding her back: orders to minimize casualties and avoid unnecessary engagement. Now, with her official death providing perfect cover and her training as one of only 15 female Marine snipers giving her capabilities they could not imagine, she was about to turn their celebration into the last mistake they would ever make. Staff Sergeant Sofia Martinez had been operating behind enemy lines for 3 weeks, conducting reconnaissance on an ISIS cell that intelligence indicated was planning a major attack on coalition interests. Her mission was simple: gather information, identify key targets, and report back for a larger operation that would neutralize the threat. But intelligence had been wrong about the simplicity of the mission. The terror cell was not just planning an attack. They were coordinating with multiple organizations across the region, creating a network that posed a far greater threat than anyone had anticipated, and they had detected her presence far sooner than her handlers had believed possible. The ambush came at dawn on her 21st day in the field. Sofia was conducting surveillance from a concealed position overlooking the terrorist compound when she spotted movement that did not match the routine she had been monitoring for weeks. Too many armed figures moving with too much purpose, all converging on routes that would surround her position. Her training kicked in immediately. She activated her emergency beacon, grabbed her essential gear, and began moving toward her primary extraction point using evasion routes she had memorized during mission planning. But they had anticipated her escape routes. The first sniper bullet missed her by inches, striking the rock where her head had been a split second earlier. Sofia rolled into cover, her M40A6 ready, and began the kind of running firefight that separated special operations training from theoretical knowledge. She was outnumbered at least 20-1 in terrain. The enemy knew better than she did with limited ammunition and no immediate backup. The tactical situation was what military planners called unsurvivable. Sofia had survived worse. She used every technique that had been drilled into her during Marine sniper training: fire and movement, use of terrain, sound discipline, and the ability to think tactically while under extreme stress. For 2 hours, she fought a running battle through mountain terrain that would have challenged an entire squad of Marines. Her radio crackled with updates from her extraction team. Viper 7, this is Overwatch. Extraction delayed due to hostile air activity. Hold position and maintain concealment. Overwatch, Viper 7. I am in active engagement with approximately 20 hostiles. Cannot maintain position. Moving to alternate extraction point. Negative on alternate extraction. Area is compromised. Hold position. Sofia found herself in the impossible situation that every special operator dreaded. Caught between enemy forces and friendly forces who could not reach her with orders that did not match the tactical reality on the ground. She made the decision that defined the rest of her mission. She would complete her objectives independently, using whatever methods were necessary to survive and accomplish the mission. The running firefight continued through the afternoon with Sofia using superior training and tactical knowledge to stay ahead of forces that had significant numerical and terrain advantages. Her M40A6 performed flawlessly, allowing her to engage targets at ranges that kept her enemies cautious while she maneuvered toward terrain that would give her options. But ammunition was finite, and the enemy forces seemed inexhaustible. As the sun began to set, Sofia found herself on a ridge overlooking a valley that contained both the terrorist compound and her alternate extraction point. Between her and safety were approximately 30 armed fighters who had spread out to cover every possible approach route. Her radio crackled. "Overwatch, we have got hostile surface-to-air missile activity in your area. Cannot provide air support or extraction until threats are neutralized." How long before missile threats are neutralized? Minimum 12 hours, possibly longer. Can you maintain position overnight? Sophia assessed her tactical situation. Limited ammunition, surrounded by hostile forces, no extraction possible, and intelligence objectives still incomplete. Standard operating procedure would be to find a concealed position and wait for extraction while avoiding contact. But standard operating procedures did not account for what she had discovered during 3 weeks of reconnaissance. The terrorist cell she had been monitoring was not just planning a single attack. They were coordinating a series of simultaneous strikes that would occur in less than 48 hours. If she waited for extraction, if she followed standard procedures, thousands of innocent people would die. Mission parameters have changed. Request permission to complete intelligence gathering objectives before extraction. Negative. Your primary objective is survival and extraction. Intelligence gathering is secondary. Sophia looked down at the compound where terrorists were finalizing plans that would result in mass casualties. Then at her M40A6 with its remaining ammunition. Then at the terrain that would allow her to approach the compound under cover of darkness. "I am experiencing radio difficulties." Switching to backup frequency for communications check. She switched to an unused frequency, effectively cutting communications with her handlers, and began planning an infiltration that would either complete her mission objectives or get her killed in the attempt. What happened next would redefine how Marine Force Reconnaissance Command understood the capabilities of their most classified operatives. Sophia spent 2 hours conducting reconnaissance of the compound's defenses, guard patterns, and structural vulnerabilities. The facility was more heavily defended than intelligence had indicated. Multiple guard posts, overlapping fields of fire, and what appeared to be professional security procedures. But it was not designed to defend against a single operative using advanced infiltration techniques. At 200 hours, during the period when human alertness naturally decreased, Sophia began her approach. She moved through terrain that would have been impossible to navigate in daylight, using night vision equipment and sound discipline to avoid detection. The compound's outer perimeter was a fence topped with razor wire and monitored by guards and towers. Getting inside would require neutralizing sentries without alerting the rest of the security force, a task that demanded perfect timing and flawless execution. Sophia identified a guard tower that was positioned to monitor a section of fence that other towers could not observe. The guard was following a predictable pattern, scanning different sectors on a timed rotation that created a 45-second window where his attention was directed away from her approach route. She waited for the optimal moment, then moved across open ground with the silent efficiency that had been drilled into her during Marine sniper training. The guard never knew she was there until her knife ended his participation in the terrorist operation. Inside the compound, Sophia faced a more complex challenge. She needed to locate and photograph intelligence materials while avoiding approximately 40 armed fighters who were conducting their own security procedures. She moved through the facility using a combination of stealth, timing, and intimate knowledge of human behavior patterns she had gained during weeks of observation. Guards expected threats from outside the compound, not from someone who had already infiltrated their secure area. Sophia located the command center where terrorist leaders were finalizing their attack plans. Through windows, she could see maps, communications equipment, and what appeared to be detailed operational schedules. Getting inside would require eliminating the guards without alerting the rest of the compound, a task that pushed her tactical skills to their absolute limits. She approached the building using shadows and blind spots in the compound's lighting, then waited for the guard rotation that would give her access to the command center. The first guard was eliminated silently, professionally, using techniques that left no immediate evidence of hostile activity. The second guard was more challenging, positioned where other guards might notice his absence, requiring Sophia to use his body to maintain the appearance of normal security procedures. Inside the command center, she found intelligence that made her blood run cold. The terrorist attacks scheduled for the next day were not limited to a single target or even a single country. The cell was coordinating simultaneous strikes on civilian targets across 3 continents: airports, shopping centers, schools, and government buildings. The scope of the planned casualties was beyond anything intelligence had anticipated. Sophia photographed everything: attack plans, target lists, communications protocols, personnel rosters, and weapons caches. The intelligence would allow counterterrorism forces to prevent every single planned attack, but her infiltration had been detected. As she finished photographing the intelligence materials, the compound's alarm system activated. Someone had discovered evidence of her infiltration, and within minutes, every fighter in the facility would be searching for the intruder. Sophia had 2 choices: attempt to escape with the intelligence or complete the mission by ensuring the terrorist cell could not execute their plans, even if she did not survive to deliver the intelligence. She made the decision that would define her understanding of what it meant to be a special operator. Instead of trying to escape, she would eliminate the terrorist cell's operational capacity. Sophia moved through the compound with the efficiency of someone who had studied its layout for weeks and understood exactly where to strike for maximum effect. Her targets were the communications equipment that allowed coordination with other cells, the weapons caches that supplied their operations, and the leadership that planned the attacks. She planted explosive charges in the communications center, the weapons storage facility, and the vehicle maintenance area where bomb-making materials were kept. Then she began systematically eliminating the terrorist leadership using precision shooting and close-quarters combat techniques. Her M40A6 was perfectly suited for the kind of indoor combat she faced. Accurate, reliable, with sound suppression that allowed her to eliminate targets without immediately alerting every fighter in the compound. But ammunition was limited, and there were still 38 armed fighters searching for her. Sophia used the compound's own layout against its defenders, moving through areas she had memorized during surveillance, using their confusion and alarm systems to mask her movement and eliminate targets who were searching for an intruder they could not locate. She fought with the clinical precision that came from years of training, but also with the desperate efficiency that came from knowing that failure meant thousands of innocent people would die in terrorist attacks that could have been prevented. One by one, the terrorist leadership was eliminated. One by one, their operational capabilities were destroyed. One by one, the compound's defensive positions were neutralized by someone who fought like a ghost and struck like death itself. But the odds were still overwhelming. As Sophia eliminated her 15th target, the compound's remaining fighters began coordinating their search more effectively. They established overlapping fields of fire, sealed off potential escape routes, and began systematically clearing buildings where the intruder might be hiding. Sophia found herself trapped in the compound's main building with approximately 25 armed fighters converging on her position. Her ammunition was running low. Her explosive charges were set, but not yet activated, and the intelligence she had gathered would die with her if she did not find a way to transmit it before being overwhelmed. She activated her emergency beacon and began transmitting the intelligence photographs using burst communication techniques that would get the information to her handlers, even if she did not survive to explain what she had discovered. When she finally activated her emergency beacon 2 weeks after her official death, the response from Marine Force Reconnaissance Command was unlike anything in military history. Viper 7, this is Overwatch. We are showing your beacon signal, but our records indicate your Kia. Please confirm your identity. Overwatch, Viper 7, mission objectives complete. Request extraction and debriefing. I have significant intelligence about terrorist networks that require immediate action. The silence on the radio lasted 30 seconds before the response. Viper 7, confirm you are alive and mission capable. Affirmative, Overwatch, very much alive, mission complete, and ready to come home. The extraction team that reached her position 12 hours later found Sofia Martinez sitting calmly beside a cache of terrorist weapons and intelligence materials, looking like someone who had just completed a routine assignment rather than someone who had single-handedly destroyed an entire terrorist network after being officially declared dead. The debriefing at Marine Force Reconnaissance Command lasted 3 days and involved more senior officers than Sofia had ever seen in one room. They reviewed her intelligence gathering, her tactical decisions, her independent operations, and the complete elimination of a terrorist network that had been planning coordinated attacks on civilian targets. Then she activated the explosive charges. The communications center exploded first, cutting off the terrorist cell's ability to coordinate with other organizations. The weapons storage facility detonated seconds later, eliminating their operational supplies. The vehicle maintenance area erupted in flames that would prevent any escape attempts. The explosions created confusion and panic among the remaining fighters, giving Sofia the distraction she needed to fight her way toward the compound's perimeter. But her movement was detected by a sniper positioned in one of the remaining guard towers. The bullet struck her in the shoulder, spinning her around and sending her M40A6 flying out of reach. She rolled into cover as more shots impacted around her position, then began crawling toward the perimeter fence, using terrain features to avoid the sniper field of fire. Behind her, the compound was burning, and secondary explosions from the weapons cache were destroying whatever operational capacity the terrorist cell might have retained. Ahead of her was 30 meters of open ground that she would have to cross while wounded without her primary weapon and under fire from multiple positions. Sofia made it 20 meters before a second bullet caught her in the leg, sending her sprawling into a drainage ditch that provided minimal cover from the increasing volume of fire being directed at her position.